I've been with PEC about 7 months. I'm the manager of energy services. And basically, my role involves managing the team responsible for delivering PEC's energy services program. So we cover a broad range of areas from renewable energy all the way over to energy efficiency. Essentially, we're helping our members better understand how they use their energy and ways that they can use energy more cost effectively. I've been in the industry for about 15 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The part about PEC that I found attractive was I've also been in Austin about 30 years in the Hill Country. But I think much of it revolves around kind of what's happening here in our community. It's a very dynamic place because of the growth and a lot of the influences from high tech and that. And PEC in that role, our membership is changing quite rapidly. We started out with a focus on serving the Hill Country and more of a rural type of member. But of course today with the growth of Austin and San Antonio, that's shifted quite dramatically. So what's been interesting to me is the opportunity to roll out a lot of new innovative programs and do that in a place that I live and know and love. Over the last couple of years, we've rolled out a number of programs that have started to basically bring to our members a greater sense of choice in terms of kind of advanced rate options. Earlier this year, we started our time of use program in July. We've also rolled out a larger interconnection rate. So initially, we had our interconnection rate that was targeted for residential members that were purchasing or leasing systems that were under 50 kW. There's been quite a bit of interest from the commercial side, and so we've recently rolled out a rate for our small power, large power members that covers systems from 50 kW up to 400 kW. And that also rolled out in July, and we started to see quite a bit of uptake there from the initial handful that got started. So essentially, the ranges are based on the size of the system, how much energy is produced. And in round terms, just to kind of illustrate some examples, our residential members, on average, typically install systems that are, say, in the 7 kW range. So while the interconnection rate goes up to 50 kW, which is certainly possible if you did something like a ground mount system and you had plenty of land available. The typical home is typically more in the 10 kW on down type of range. As you get into larger situations where you have a small power or large power commercial member that consumes more energy, potentially has a larger building, whether it is a commercial business or some type of manufacturing facility. They have a larger rooftop, they may have some more land, they also have higher energy consumption requirements. So 50 kW sometimes for, say, a school, a brewery, or something in that range may be limited. So we wanted to expand the limits in order to better serve that segment of our members. I think a good one for example that's real close to us here is the Jesterkin Brewery. It's over off of Fitzhugh.
Delicious.
Very great spot.
Thank you for our sponsor.
Their system is above 50 kW. They were one of the first to come in. They're a small power user, so a member. So if you think about that, they have all the equipment associated with brewing beer, chiller systems, and other types of equipment. So their energy consumption needs are quite a bit higher than in a home. That is a rooftop mounted system, and it's a fairly large building. So given the size of that building, they were able to accommodate a larger capacity type of system. So the point is, I think that what we've really tried to do from a PEC perspective is create a portfolio of programs that will serve a wide range of members, depending upon their specific circumstances. And that can include members that wish to purchase or lease their system,
Mhm.
which is, I think, what we have been doing quite a bit of over the past several years. So that can be a homeowner, or as we just talked about, a commercial member like Chesterton Brewery.
Right.
To complement those, one of the newer programs that we have coming out that will launch in February of next year is our cooperative solar program. And this is really intended to satisfy or support members that are not in a situation where they can lease or own their own system. So let's say that they live in a rental home or an apartment, or they're just not planning to be in their home for an extended period of time. So the cooperative is building some larger arrays and is offering the option to procure their energy through the cooperative and through a renewable source that the cooperative owns and is offering to the members. So rather than install your own system, you can source your renewable energy through PEC. Yeah, we're just in kind of the rollout from a communications perspective. Over the course of these next 60 days, the level of communications will pick up quite a bit. In about 2 weeks, we have the Hill Country Solar Tour, which David and Native have been a part of for quite some time now. That is probably kind of our initial introduction of the program, where we'll start to begin to kind of roll out our marketing of the program. And then as we go, the Hill Country Solar Tour is on September 30th.
Okay.
That involves 6 different stops close in this Oak Hill area, 5 member residences, and Jester King is also going to participate in the tour this year.
Interesting.
So that'll be an opportunity where PEC members who have already installed systems are sharing their experiences, kind of opening up their home or business for other members to stop by, take a look. The installer that installed the system will be on hand, as well as some PEC staff to help answer questions and basically educate, transfer knowledge, build interest among the membership for renewable energy type option. So cooperative solar will be part of that in terms of kind of the message and some of the communications. The big, I think, part about this is really trying to fill out our offering. You know, as I kind of indicated, we started with residential.
Right.
It's been successful. We noticed that there was a gap on the commercial side, so we sought to fill that gap. And then, you know, as David can attest, not every single home is built the same or is ready in the same circumstances for solar. And so there is a group of members out there, because of their circumstances, depending on where they live, the type of arrangement, whether they own or lease, maybe budgetary considerations, they're not able to move forward with a system that they own or lease, but they're still interested in renewable energy.
Right.
And so we're trying to fill out that part of the portfolio and serve as many of our members as we can. Our communications team is really looking this year in particular to leverage a number of social media channels, using keyword type searches, members that are in our service area that are expressing interest in renewable energy, solar, beginning to kind of serve up targeted messages about the tour and really trying to drive interest. A key part of this year's event, it's on the 30th of September, Saturday, the 30th, is that we've really tried to place the focus this year on the actual tour stops and the installations, as well as David pointed out, kind of featuring our partners that have worked with us over an extended period of time, that are helping to drive adoption of solar amongst our membership, and in doing so are also supportive of PEC programs. So things like our Empower Loan program that allows our members, if they choose, to borrow up to $20,000 over a 10-year period to help lower the cost of adoption for purchasing their system. And all of the participants in this year's tour, Native and the other installers, are partners of PEC that have been super supportive of our programs and have been super supportive of our members. So we're really trying to kind of feature those relationships and put the focus this year on that core group that's been a part of helping drive solar adoption within our leadership. So I think that one of the things that has attracted me to PEC is that in addition to driving new program development and adoption, I think one of the things that we really look for is to attempt to innovate a little bit and look for ways that we can differentiate our programs. And a lot of this comes from the nature of the cooperative, right? Our members are our owners. There's a very tight alignment of interests in that essentially we're here to serve them and to best utilize the cooperative assets. And in doing so, we want to make sure that there's a high level of transparency. And so from an energy services program standpoint, David, there's kind of two driving principles. One is that we really look to send very clear price signals to our members through advanced rate options. So we're trying to indicate to members that the different behaviors or energy technologies that they adopt, if those are consistent with driving lower cost to the cooperative in general, that they receive the benefits of that in addition to, of course, doing things that are favorable to the cooperative. So there's the advanced rate option aspect and the price signals, but then we also try to focus on lowering barriers to adoption. So that can come through things like financing, which is really where the Empower Loan program was born. It's that, as you well know, you've been in this business a long time, that's typically one of the challenges. I want to do it, but there's some costs involved. So how am I going to pay for it? And the Empower Loan program really seeks to better match the costs of a system with their benefits over time. Because as we know, these systems take a number of years to pay back. And so essentially by stretching out the costs to better match the benefits of the renewable energy as you use the system over time, it makes that equation work a little bit better and lower that one of the barriers to adoption. I think the other barrier that we really focus on is education.
Okay.
So how we can help our members to better understand how they use energy and how solar in this particular instance might be a good fit for them. So we have a team of energy services advisors that are available to work with our members, help them understand their load profiles, the different types of things that they may consider doing that will help to optimize their solar installation. So those are the strategies that and kind of the guiding principles that we use to shape really all of our energy services programs, and I think they're probably most evident when we look at some of the solar related programs. Sure, I think in line with some of your sentiments, it's pretty early. There are certainly some applications where it makes sense. I think that tend to be focused a little bit more around reliability. So situations where maybe you have medical equipment or other types of assets that you are trying to protect. If there happen to be a storm or some type of outage for a temporary period of time, you may have an energy storage device that you might leverage. Within our service territory right now, unlike other parts of the country, the notion of dispatching energy storage at critical times over the course of the day isn't really a need that has emerged yet. It certainly is something that I think continues to evolve and will develop over time. But right now, I would say that the applications are fairly narrow, but certainly something that we are kind of anticipating. When we look at interconnection, we look at it pretty broadly. So you may have a solar array, perhaps you might even have some wind turbines, or eventually over time you could have energy storage. The notion of how we've kind of arranged our interconnection agreements is primarily driven a lot by safety, so that if those devices are actually feeding power back onto the grid, We just want to make sure that that's done in a safe manner and to our standards. So we're not focused on the particular technologies per se, but looking at any type of technology that interconnects with the system and kind of standardizing our approaches around that. So for example, the Empower Loan program over time today, it does include the option to borrow for wind turbines. It's not as prevalent as solar, but I would expect over time that energy storage could be another piece of technology that might begin to become more prevalent. There's no question. I mean, the time of use rates were rolled out in April, and they we're in the earliest phases of adoption, but we are really trying to send the price signal that says when you use energy during different times of day or night, there is a different value associated with that. And to your point, if you can manage your energy use to steer clear of those higher cost periods in the afternoon, then you can receive a benefit. And that's directly on your bill as a member. But in doing so, you're also helping the cooperative because you're reducing transmission costs during peak periods, which is probably one of our higher cost drivers right now. So there's no question that as a cooperative and as an industry, we're really starting to kind of creep into this phase of helping to educate the end consumer about the timing of when you use energy use, not just the amount of energy that you're using. There's first understanding there is value here or there's an opportunity here, but you wouldn't spend time running around your house adjusting your thermostat in the middle of the afternoon and readjusting it in the evening. So you need some enabling technology, a smart thermostat like Nest or others. Another great application would be electric vehicle charging. So that if you charge while you're sleeping at night, rather than when you get home from work in the late afternoon or early evening, there's a significant difference in terms of the cost that it would take to charge your electric vehicle. So absolutely, the enabling technology is a key part of the time of use rates. I liken it to kind of the razor and the blades. You know, the two have to go hand in hand in order to be effective. If you only have one or the other, you don't quite get there. If there's any resistance to time of use, I think most of it is driven by initially a lack of understanding of what this means, because our long-standing history in the industry is to have a volumetric, a flat rate that doesn't basically charge you differently depending on when you use energy. So while behind the scenes, energy has always been more expensive at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on your individual bill, you wouldn't see much difference. And depending on whether you washed your clothes at 4 or whether you washed your clothes in the evening. That's beginning to change, right? We're trying to send a clearer signal to the member, to the end consumer, that when you use energy is an important driver of your costs. But then in addition to it, I think how we begin to get everyone more comfortable is the pairing of enabling technology with the rate. So for example, as you suggested, a smart thermostat and a time of use rate. How do those two work hand in hand in order to allow you to better control and manage your energy use, lower your costs, but do so in a way that is fairly transparent and not disruptive. And I think that's the ultimate goal, is that we'll need to put together these solutions that couple the rate and the enabling technology, and we're just starting to do that now. I think, our history as an industry, we've spent, at least the last 15 to 20 years, highly focused on conservation, efficiency. So the notion was that perhaps, I guess in a comparative way, we were extremely wasteful 15 to 20 years ago, and we have kind of wrung out a lot of that waste by LED light bulbs, right? Smart appliances, a number of the examples that you cited. But those are starting to have kind of diminishing returns at this point. We've gotten pretty efficient. In fact, we've gotten so efficient to the point that our loads as an industry don't grow year over year, even though our economy grows and everything else, because essentially, as we've grown the load, we've also become more efficient. And so the load generally stays flat. And or the load growth stays flat. So the new kind of lever that we need to really work on is the timing that you pointed out, because the price of energy at different times of the day and night is widely different. In fact, it's a far more volatile market than the stock market,
Really?
as we all know. But it is considerably more volatile. As an extreme example, though, and this happens on a fairly regular basis in Texas, because of our large installation of wind power, is in the middle of the night, prices for power can go negative, meaning that the supplier of the power has to pay the taker of the power to take the power, right? There is no demand. There's an oversupply at that point. And so prices can go negative now as an extreme in the middle of the night when demand goes down and the supply is up because the wind is blowing. So it's an extreme example, but it's a good example of that prices are changing throughout the day and then can even go to the point where they go negative, and you can actually be paying as a supplier of energy to move the power off your turbines and off your facility. So it's a very volatile market. It's always been a very volatile market.
Right.
But as David pointed out, the decision that we made as an industry for a long time is to say there's kind of a set price and to hide that complexity kind of behind the scenes. But it's really not possible to hide that complexity anymore. And so gradually things like time of use rates and that are beginning to signal to the end consumer that there's something going on here about how you use energy at different times and can shape your load. And if you do that in a thoughtful way, you can significantly lower your energy costs. And this has been in place for a while. Typically larger commercial members that have greater needs also have more enabling technology. They have long since become adept at managing this, shaping their load by using SCADA systems, energy management systems, pumping water instead of in the afternoon, pumping it at night and putting it in a storage tank. So what we're really seeing is those types of techniques and that level of understanding beginning to come down market to individual consumers. And it's not mandatory. It's a choice. If you understand and have the capabilities, some of the enabling technology to take advantage of it, then you can benefit. We still offer the volumetric rate, a flat rate. PEC's rate comparatively happens to be one of the lower in Texas, so you're not really a loser either way. You start out in a good spot, but if you have the capability and have invested in enabling technologies, then sometimes you can improve your energy spend quite considerably. From my perspective, I think the technology drivers have a huge impact and are a significant part of what's helping to change things, because the price points to adopt this technology are coming down. Things that used to take many years to pay back are starting to shorten up. The understanding of what the technologies can do is also becoming more prevalent. We are beginning to have a more knowledgeable end consumer that is beginning to start to understand these concepts. It isn't just simply I plug it in and it comes on, but I've begun to pick up on this idea that my utility is telling me, hey, when I use energy at different times of the day, it has different impacts. So we're starting to become more aware of that. But you see it in all elements of our life, right? Transportation, electric vehicles, solar arrays in our homes and businesses, smart thermostats, smart appliances. It's here, right? And that, I think, is a key part of really what is going to continue to shape our business over the course of the next 10, 15, 20 years. That the technology drive will be a huge part of it. Well, I think since we've really focused around renewable energy, and in particular solar, one of the things that is always important to us as we seek to kind of develop our programs and serve members is, what is the end consumer looking for in solar technology today, right? We've come from an environment where we've had, different types of options available, right? Where you could own your system, you could lease your system. Community solar is now becoming more prevalent, but for PEC to get feedback from our stakeholders, our members, around what interests them most is probably one of the more valuable pieces of information that we can get, because that really is what drives our decisions around the types of programs that we offer, the rate options that we offer, and we're here to kind of help make our members successful and to engage them in programs that they feel are beneficial. Well, we're certainly have the website. We have the energy services section at www.pec.coop, C-O-O-P. And all of the programs that we offer are featured on the website.
Okay.
So that's probably one great spot to go and find out about the cooperative. And then there are certainly other avenues that we take. Over the past summer, we did quite a bit with KView and beginning to feature why peak demand in the summer is important. So you're starting to see us branch out beyond some of the traditional media and get our message out in more targeted types of channels.